Welcome back to the 815 Exchange. I am your host, Chris Crenshaw, and we are live from the 336 once again. It has been a week. I think everybody can agree. Same way it's been a year. Wasn't the best of weeks. And some of that I will talk about in today's episode, as you can probably tell from the wheel, which I'll get to very shortly. Yeah, a lot of sports news, a lot of out of sports news. So we got the topics for today. We have the NBA. We have, of course, the Black Panther, Jackie Robinson, a lot of names he goes by, but Chadwick Boseman, soccer, in the NHL. Our topics for this week. And yeah, like I said, a lot of stuff happened. So let's get straight to it with the first spin of the day. And what a way to start. I guess it was just fate. Once again, I want to remind you guys before I get into this, like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment. Tell me what you want to hear me say. Tell me what you want to hear me talk about. Things you want added to the exchange, to the show, to the podcast. And of course, timestamps are in the description if you need to skip ahead to wherever you want to see or a certain segment or whatever. So, of course, the late great Chadwick Boseman. I'm only 19, so I haven't had as many of those real shock celebrity deaths or any deaths. But this is, I think, up there for me personally, up there with Kobe earlier this year. I wasn't as emotional as I was when Kobe died. As to when Chadwick died, I was just in shock. I think, like many others, because in something I'm gonna get to shortly, the fact that he hit it so well was just a shock, because he's hitting his stride as an actor. He had his break not too long ago. He was in solid film after solid film, putting in great performances. And he was the Black Panther. It looked like he was set up to really take over a good portion of the MCU for, what is it, Phase 4? He was going to be one of the guys. Just really unprecedented. In retrospect, the photos in that video that came out of him a couple months ago, it makes sense now that could have, I mean, I would assume that was a photo of him in stage 4 at that point. And that could explain the weight loss. Yeah, it's just, it's a tough situation. And then it does kind of make you emotional seeing how his friends and family and his co-workers have reacted to this, because I mean they're kind of in the same situation as us. They found out online or on the news, because he didn't let anybody know. Ryan Coogler, who directed the first Black Panther film, posted a very, very, very good statement yesterday, I believe, and he said that that even he didn't know. Even he's the director of the movie. He was writing a second movie stated to release in 2022, and it sounded like he had an idea that Chadwick was sick, but not as sick as he was. And again, a real life superhero for completing all of the films he did. I believe he was casted before, so I wonder if Kevin Feige, the guy that's the head over Marvel, is aware or was aware. But yeah, he completed all of these movies. He had to bulk up for superhero movies or change his body, and he was dealing with colon cancer at the same time. Is honorable. I already had a ton of respect for him. Black Panther was one of my favorite superheroes. I fell in love after the Civil War movie. Thought he was dope. And it's nice to know that the guy outside of the suit was dope as well. For, I guess, black people in general, he played a lot of iconic roles for us. Thurgood Marshall, James Brown. Of course, I mentioned Jackie Robinson, which he also died on Jackie Robinson Day. And, of course, Wakanda Forever as the Black Panther. And yeah, he's an icon. 43 is way too young. Way, way, way too young. And he'll be missed. Yeah. It's just it's a tough situation. And again, sending all of my prayers and condolences to the family, to his friends, who are dealing like, I guess, us, not just them, I guess the whole world is mourning that. So yeah, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman, one of the best of us. Hope he's doing well upstairs and looking down after us, and make sure we're straight, help us power through our current situation. And yeah, so. All right. On a more positive note, but also I do have some outside of the sports stuff to talk about. We got the NBA, and it was one hell of a week for the NBA. And actually, before that, I would be amiss if I did not talk about our official water sponsor. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, unofficial water sponsor. Dasani still hasn't run me the check. You know, I don't know. Maybe it got lost in the mail. I know there's a lot of stuff going with the USPS right now. But for now, unofficial water sponsor. Again, stay hydrated, kids. But back to the NBA and the matters at hand. Crazy week in the NBA. The boycott, of course. After another, I'm fed up. As everybody, it seems, with a brain is fed up of seeing black people killed by the police for suspicious reasoning. I'm not even going to get into the Kenosha Police Department and the mediocre excuses they came up with. Yeah, the boycott. Boycott happened after only one of the series for the first round finished. So, where I was probably have been doing my second round predictions, I will be recapping the first round and doing a little bit of second round predictions for the games that did finish. I think the boycott was an honorable thing to do. I don't think it was the final solution in what we're trying to accomplish. I think it sends a message, but I think they needed, of course, it had been, what do you do afterwards? And I think it's also still important that, I mean, even separating me as a sports fan wanting to see them play, as a result of them playing, they'll always have the cameras, they'll have a wider audience. Not everybody, I guess, has a bunch of millions and millions of followers like Braun or Giannis or whoever. So some of those guys with a lower profile still can send their message and help try to spread the message that they want to send. So, to the actual basketball portion, the Lakers advance in 5. Dame's injury definitely took effect. Those CJ McCollum, shout out. He balled out. Another shout out to my Duke guy, Gary Trent Jr. Never doubted his abilities. And yeah, the Blazers look good, but like I said last week, the overreactions to Game 1 were ridiculous. And the Lakers got them up out of here. They await the winner of the Houston and OKC series, which I think they play tonight. Houston up 3-2. Even though Russ did not have his best game, I think it's very important that he is back for them. I feel like that's kind of turned the tide here. CP3 getting ejected was not good for OKC. However, I still think the Rockets closed it out here in 6. Bar CP3 doing some magic, but I think the Rockets got it. The Clippers, also here in the Western Conference, advance in 6. Man, I have to wonder what would that series have been like if Kristaps Porzingis had not been eliminated. Well, yeah. If he wasn't a factor in the series. Because game 1, you can argue that Dallas would have won that game had Porzingis not been ejected. And you can really argue that the series might be 2-1 if Porzingis doesn't get hurt. So him being out with the torn meniscus, Luka doesn't have his sparring partner, his guy, that makes up really their dynamic duo. And I think you saw also what I said in pertaining to the Mavericks being that one piece away. They do have good depth. They have guys that can get a bucket like Seth, like Trey Burke. Boban's, besides his size, is actually a good player. Tim Hardaway Jr. balled out. But they need that third guy. He doesn't necessarily, like I said, have to be a superstar, but he has to be somebody that can help alleviate some of the responsibility and pressure from Luka and Kristaps. And when one of them might be out or having an off game, he can pick up the pieces. I think they were missing that. And, of course, the Clippers are loaded. So, and I have to say, Paul George, I commend him. He stepped up. You know, everybody was calling him out. Cyberbullying works. I'm kidding. I'm kidding, children. Please do not cyberbully each other. But he responded to the pressure, and Pandemic P came through. And that's a big reason why the Clippers were able to advance. Of course, Kawhi was the biggest reason, one of the best players on the planet. And yeah, shout out to the Clippers. Got it done. Mavericks are going to be here for a long time, though. Luka, future face of the league, probably going to be the best player on the planet at some point in time. In the near future, you could say. Of course, LeBron isn't human, and who knows, but we'll see. Let's see. Going into the Eastern Conference, the Bucks in 5 against Orlando. Again, Orlando, though, had some standouts. Markelle Fultz showed that he can carve out a little role here in the league. Maybe not what he was supposed to be as a number 1 overall pick, but he is going to be here for a while, it appears. Vucevic, of course, played well. He's really become kind of the guy in Orlando. One of their consistencies as a team, really part of their identity. Probably one of the more underrated players, I think, possibly in the league. But yeah, the Bucks got it done. Chris Middleton stepped up big time. As much as I talk crap about him, still, I stand by my previous statements, but he did show up big time. Giannis does what Giannis does. He's going to get the MVP. Just was awarded Defensive Player of the Year. And yeah, the Bucks advance. They will be facing Miami, who broke out the broomsticks graphic against the Indiana Pacers. And yeah. TJ Warren has been taken off of the most dangerous persons list. Maybe I should put Jimmy Buckets on there with the way that series went. Yeah, Miami, I think they're my dark horse. I said this last time. They handle business. They got the Bucks. That's going to be a very good series. I will definitely be tuned in, of course. And of course, the series of the first round is the Utah Jazz versus the Denver Nuggets. My goodness. We are here to Game 7 because Jamal Murray, after a certain video came out a couple months ago, has turned into a superstar. Not saying I foresaw Jamal Murray's ascent, But I'm not too surprised, actually. High school, he was a beast. He was a great shot creator. Did a lot of the things you see him doing now. He's just a better player, of course. Was a good player at Kentucky. And now he's balling out, looking like a franchise player for Denver. Even though you could say they already have their franchise player in Jokic. Of course, you need that duo, and Murray and Jokic might be that duo. Spida had 44 and still lost. That's tough. He was very, very frustrated after last night's game. But this is certainly not his fault. But yeah, Jamal Murray, back-to-back 50-point games, playing incredible. If you follow me on Twitter, of course, you saw I tweeted I could watch Jamal Murray and Spida duel forever, and I really could. If you gave me 7 more games of Utah versus Denver, I would watch all 7 games. Who do I think is going to win? I couldn't know. It's really a coin toss at this moment. It's anybody's series. Denver's got the momentum. I said Michael Porter Jr. needed to show up. He didn't show up last night, but Murray had a Herculean effort. I do think he needs to show up in Game 7. But then again, if Jamal scores 50 again, then that might be enough to push him through. Playoff basketball is back. That's all I can really take from that series. Let's see, and of course, the only game that started from the second round is Boston and Toronto, and Boston beat the brakes off of the Toronto Raptors. The defending champions got destroyed. Jason Tatum did what Jason Tatum does. Second round prediction for that. I'm going to go actually with Boston. I think Boston takes them out. Not just because of the game before, but I got a lot of faith in this Boston team. Being able to get to the conference finals. Once again, I think it's going to be a very good series. I like that there's a lot of parity in the league now, and I think that's better for the league going forward and being able to create interest again after the Warriors dominated for so long. Yeah, so that's the NBA. We'll spin again. Alright. We have to kick it. Literally kick it. Kick it over to the soccer, or for my Europeans, the football world. Of course, the biggest news in soccer, and really was the biggest news it seemed like on the planet the day it happened. Messi is leaving Barcelona. Ladies and gentlemen, the unbelievable, the inconceivable. Lionel Messi is leaving Barcelona. How bad? I don't know how Barto is going to be able to keep his job as director. I do not know, or excuse me, president. He's got to go. There's no way the greatest, possibly the greatest player of all time, the greatest player in your team's history, a guy that's been here his whole career, there is no reason at his stage in this career he should be demanding a transfer. How do you mess this up? I don't know. And it's ironic, of course, the comparison of a lifetime, of course. And it's not to crap on Messi or anything or play down Messi's accomplishments, but it'll be funny to see, funny to see how years from now when we look back at this, how CR7's Real Madrid stint, he went out on a 3-peat Champions League with all of the glory. Messi will go out deserving probably what Ronaldo's leaving party was. Instead, Messi's was an 8-2 shellacking by Bayern Munich. A murder. That's actually what I worded for it. A murder. It was a murder. And it appears it has murdered Barcelona's hopes and dreams as their golden boy appears to be headed to Manchester City to join former head coach Pep. That's a head coach. I apologize. Manager. Pep. Pep's trying to get there, trying to get him in Man City. Of course, Man City's got deep pockets. It's a possibility. La Liga is blocking, of course, naturally, because, money, TV ratings. They're trying to block by not allowing Messi to activate the clause he had, which again shows you how much power Messi had at Barca, where you were able to put in a clause that you can leave the club. You can terminate your contract at the end of any year you want. That is nuts. But anyways, Man City looks like it's going to be the preferred destination. They got the pockets to pay for him. Of course, the people want him to go to Juve. So we can finally have that Ronaldo-Messi link-up that we've dreamed about and has been on Ultimate Team year after year after year. PSG, deep pockets again. They're also a possibility. But yeah, I'll be posted on that. Keep y'all updated. Another team with extremely deep pockets and having an incredible transfer window is Chelsea. We said they needed to work on that defense. Well, Ben Chilwell and Thiago Silva, word to Dave and AJ Tracy, is headed to Stamford Bridge. Chilwell, great young fullback, came from Leicester City. Great, much better. He's an improvement over Alonso. Not that Alonso is necessarily bad, but Chilwell on another level there, and much more adds to the youth movement that they've got going on at Chelsea. Silva provides some leadership in the back, and of course, I think as we've seen, or at least I saw in those last couple games in the Champions League, I think he's still got it. He may not be the best, which is what he once was, but Silva can still get it done even at 36, provide some leadership, some big game experience for such a young team. So dope, got him on a free. So good pickups for Chelsea. Also in the Premier League, Leeds picked up Rodrigo. A lot of top La Liga teams were looking at Rodrigo, and big pickup for Leeds, especially since they're trying to stay in the Premier League after being promoted after all those years down. Rodrigo will go a long way in being able to keep them up this year. Pogba caught Corona, and Eduardo Camavinga, the 17-year-old wonder boy, the wonder kid, the French center mid, has been called up at only 17 to the French national team. I think that's of note. One of the better young players in the world, one of the most promising young players in the world, Camavinga is. A lot of people watching what he does and how his development's going, and getting promoted this early on is rather big. And of course, I have to salute my Americans. It's a great time for American soccer because Weston McKennie is leaving Shellac. Though he was good at Shellac, and I'm not saying Shellac was a bad place for him. It was a great place for him. But he is leaving for Juventus in a very, very interesting transfer. But I guess Pirlo or the Juventus staff, and I'm going to trust them on this, see something they like in McKennie. So that's very exciting for the future of U.S. soccer. Really hope Weston is able to carve out a role there. Of course, I don't think he's going to start immediately, but getting to play with some of the best in the world, and of course Cristiano Ronaldo, and being coached by the maestro, Andrea Pirlo, that's going to go a long way in his development, I believe. So, yep, that's it for the soccer world. I don't really need to spin this, actually. The Sonny water break, as we are here at our last major topic of the episode, the NHL. Tried to hit that. It was a very hectic week, so I did miss some stuff, but I've tried to keep up. Got to watch some games, but I do have a little recap. Weirdly enough and strangely, every single series here in the second round is in a 3-1. I noticed that every single game is in a 3-1, which is strange, but Vegas is up Vancouver. So of all my predictions, it seems like I've got this one right so far. Vegas has been balling out. Marc-Andre Fleury just passed Ken Dryden on the all-time wins list in the playoffs. Patches had a 3-point game. Shout out to Max Pacioretty. And, they're up 3-1 on Vancouver. I caught the Dallas Avs game yesterday. The Stars have done a great job containing the guy that was leading, and I predicted to have a big breakout playoff series in Nathan McKinnon. They're doing a great job containing him. They're up 3-1. Played a very physical brand of game play style yesterday, and it was very effective. They got a lot of great players. I think I underestimated Dallas a little bit, with all due respect. Of course, we've seen crazier things happen in hockey and just in sports, but again, 3-1 is very steep for the Avs to come back from. The Islanders are up 3-1 versus the Flyers. I can't remember if I chose the Islanders or the Flyers. Of course, in retrospect, I should have chose the Islanders because they're up 3-1. Josh Bailey is point per game in the postseason, 13 for 13. He's playing fantastic. And of course, Tampa Bay, 3-1 versus Boston. Kucherov showing why he's the MVP, or the reigning MVP. Palat scored twice yesterday or the day before. Tampa Bay exercising those demons they have from that Columbus series not too long ago, and they're showing out. Halak is starting to catch up, not having Tuukka Rask for the Bruins. Halak has not been as good as Rask and hasn't been as crispy. A lot of places where he should have made saves or should have made a play, he hasn't been there, and I think the Bruins are wearing the brunt of that and are now finding themselves in the 3-1 hole. We'll see if they'll be able to come back. I wouldn't really put too much money on any of these teams coming back, but that's hockey, and that's for the will, which means we are here at the Roundup, and I have a rather large Roundup for this episode. Stay hydrated. Little bit fantasy. I have a fantasy draft in like 2 hours. Should be an interesting one. I have not seen any fantasy guides, so I'm kind of going in blind here. It also feels weird, I think, because we haven't had preseason, and really, it's just been a weird off season because of the Rona and all that stuff. But very excited. I've been playing fantasy baseball. I had a big win. I actually beat my father this week. So, yeah, 6-4. Slight. Fantasy baseball is actually pretty fun. I was wondering how it worked. I was always curious. It's pretty fun. I might do it again after this season. I'm still like 5 games back of the lead, but we're working our way back. I've been active on the waiver wire this morning, so we'll see. Jamarr Chase, big news for my LSU fans. Jamarr Chase has opted out. The best collegiate receiver on God's green earth, Jamarr Chase, has in fact opted out. Big loss for LSU, but they got a lot of receiver talent. And we'll see. We'll see if more of those top tier guys continue to try to take this year off because of the awkward circumstances surrounding it. We'll see how that goes. But Chase taking these junior year off and declaring for the draft. In the UFC, I was very impressed by Rakic. He took out Anthony Smith, who didn't really show much lion heart. Thank you. I'll be here all week. Beat Lionheart Smith by unanimous decision. Rather dominantly. Those leg kicks were, I don't know if it's because we had no fans, so we could hear the true slap, but he was tearing them up, and then really where Smith should have had the advantage was on the ground and grappling. But he just turtled up, and Rakic went to work and just dominated him. A lot of people were bored by that fight. I thought it was pretty dominant. Maybe it's because I was kind of in and out. But he did what he had to do. Might be a contender. Might be a contender in light heavyweight. Of course, the bigger weights in UFC definitely need contenders. So him with a big performance there, I think, is huge. Again, ruthless Robbie Lawler, lost a unanimous decision to Neil Magny. Robbie, you're a legend. We love you. Please retire. Your time is up. You know, you did a lot of great things, but you're a surefire Hall of Famer. It's time for that Hall of Fame speech. While you can still actually say words and not slur them, please, no more damage to your body and to your head. It wasn't even close. Magny completely dominated. Lawler just doesn't have it anymore. I do not want to see him turn into BJ Penn. He's lost one of his last 5. So, yeah. Magny beats Lawler. Pertaining to my fantasy baseball team, I have Lucas Giolito. So, of course, I was very happy when Lucas Giolito had the very first no-hitter of the MLB season. Big ups to the White Sox. They got a very, very good team, I think, developing there. A lot of special young players on that team. The Yankees were in a horrific losing streak after being one of the best teams. The injuries really caught up, and lost, I believe, 7 straight before finally taking some in this Mets series. But yeah, we'll see if the Yankees can get back on track. And for my NASCAR fans, I did watch Daytona. That was a very exciting race, as pretty much most Daytona races are. Very exciting, very tense race. William Byron got his first career win, of course, but the bigger news was Jimmie Johnson, the legend, 7-time champion Jimmie Johnson, one of the greatest drivers of all time, misses the playoffs in his retirement year. Caught up in the big one, and that ends up being what cost him a chance at the playoffs. Really what cost him was the fact that he caught Corona. Breaking news, that's what I keep looking over here. I'm looking at my TV. Max Clevinger has been traded from the Padres to the Indians, I think that said. So, breaking news, live here on the 815 Exchange. But back to Jimmy. Yeah, tough situation. Sucks to see him. Of course, you want to see a guy done so much for the sport succeed in his last one. But he's not eliminated. Just not in the playoffs. He'll still be racing. Hopefully, he can get that one last win. That would be great. But it is what it is. And that concludes today's episode, today's show. One last water break provided by our unofficial sponsor, Dasani. Stay hydrated. Drink your water, kids. Drink your water, adults. Once again, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Leave feedback. Tell me what you want to see. I appreciate the support. Getting more comfortable in the chair. Getting more of a rhythm here. You may have noticed these are not as long because I've been more efficient, I believe. But yeah, again, hope you guys all have a great week. I have college starting in a week, so I'll be enjoying my last week of summer. But yeah, Ocho, signing off.